I got an odd piece of burl with a lot of bark on it, some grain, some burl. I'm going to cut this in half and see if I can't make a couple of rough burl pot boxes out of it. So let's see what happens. And now I just got to figure out how to chuck it and cut it. Start with the most promising piece, and I'm just going to cut off a little bit of it because it is an odd shaped square. I'm going to use this little template I use for cutting birdhouse roofs and just orient it to where I think it'll best capture the burl. And some people have put nails or screws in it. I find a little bird cage awl like this dedicated works just great. And here we go. We got a push stick. This is my designer push stick here. So I'm going to decide which end is the top and which end is the bottom, and I'm going to put the bottom end toward the tailstock because that's the part I'm going to put the primary tenon in, since this doesn't have to be chucked but once. Okay, tighten it down. Make sure it turns all the way, clears. Okay, and because of all this burl and grain direction, I'm going to use a bowl gouge for this, 1/2 inch, and we're just going to try to get it round. Anchor the tool, ride the bevel, push the handle until it cuts. Okay, it's rough round. I think it's time for me to start putting the tenon on there. I'm going to use my beating and parting tool for that. Shop made, okay. Make sure I've got a nice 90-degree tenon for that normal jaws across the parallel tenon. And okay, now we're ready to start thinking a little bit about the shape. Okay, so now I'm going to chuck it. Come in. Okay, I've decided this will be the fattest part of the box. It's going to slope down from this pencil mark that I made. So let's take the spindle gouge and kind of take it down and see what we come up with. Leave a little bit of a gap at the end, so I think I'm going to have to take this down a little bit further. I'm going to be chasing this bark inclusion all the way down. I'm going to switch the bowl gouge to kind of remove the bulk of that and just take it down some. This pot's a little taller than it needs to be. I think I'm going to take it down a little bit more. Okay, I might be able to live with this small little gap here. So here's the shape that I'm going for. I'm going to round it over, make a big bead, hollow it out. Okay, pretty rough edge, but it's okay. I'll just make it, might add a little interest to it. So I'm going to mark that one area that I'm going to cut that bead on. I like to do that with sometimes with a point tool so I can get exactly where that bead's going to be. Now I'm going to roll that bead over with a detail spindle gouge. And roll it over this edge. And now I'm going to roll into that, tuck under that bead. That's looking a lot like what I'm looking for. A little bark inclusion here on the sides just will add a little visual interest, I think. I've got to be concerned about having a hole in the box on this side though. Alright, so now I got to decide where the bottom of the box is going to be. And just visually, and I'm thinking it will probably, because I want it somewhat short and squatty, it's probably going to be somewhere along there. I'm not going to bark out a beading parting tool until I do some hollow in case I change my mind. I want to round over that shoulder just a little bit before we go any further. Now we're going to hollow it out. I'm going to use the spindle gouge for that. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch because it's just got a little more heft than that 3/8. And here we go. First, you can't drill a hole. This grain is going everywhere. It's not in grain. I'm going to go ahead and turn it like I would cross grain and just come in from the side. But I have to remember, I'm going to have a recess in there, so let's go ahead and put that recess. Using a box scraper, I'm just going to come in, just raise tool rest just a little bit, so I'll cut just above center. Just a bit of a shadow on that. Okay, I think I've got that. And then this is going to be around a little bit. Now I can start hollowing. This is the job for a hollower. some sort. So I'm going to switch to a cupped carbide tool. I'm going to use this Hunter Viceroy. It doesn't scrape, it slices. So the thickness of it is such I don't need to adjust tool rest. Progress we're making. I'd rather feel it. There would be a small hole there. I hope I don't lose this little bit of bark. I almost want to put a drop of CA on it just to stiffen it up a bit. I think I might do that. Because this has got a little bit of a cutaway neck, I was able to get underneath the shoulder here and do some hollowing. I need to I measure the inside against my original depth, and I need to go just maybe a quarter of an inch deeper, so I'll just continue in for hollowing. I think I've just about got it. Use this negative rake scraper to kind of clean up a little bit. Now, raise this up just a smidge. Technical term, a smidge. Up, down, up, up, down. Digital caliper test here. And that's still kind of thick here. Okay, time to sand the inside. I've made some sanding sticks, just folded over some sandpaper, different grits over some paper towel or a little bit of cotton. And this is easier and safer than getting your fingers in there because this burl edge could shred you. So we're going to go to fairly slow speed. We're going to start with a fairly coarse grip, get rid of that nubbin on the bottom. So here's my quick fix. I'm going to take one of these and just put a little paper towel on it. This will be for a single use. Some of my shop-made abrasive paste, little beeswax, diatomaceous earth, and mineral oil. Got a video on that with a recipe, like the commercial ones, just shop-made. Shoulder. This way I have a nice ultra smooth bottom and I don't have any solvent smell when you take the top off, which might take many weeks to disappear. Kind of cut away the clearance here. Now I'm just going to shape the bottom. Pick up the head here. Now we're going to bring this all the way around. I see a lot of novice turners that want to keep coming back further than they need to. The issue is, where does the wood need to come away? Work on that first. Then you can work your way back. That's kind of the pot looking shape I'm going for. I could probably refine that shape a little bit. Matter of fact, this could have been the thickest part and probably should have been. I got to run to change it. Maybe I do. I think I'll go ahead and lower the fat part. Speed up a little bit and just like that, and I've lowered it from the upper third to the bottom third, and it's thinned it out some, made it even a more refined shape. So I like that a lot. I'm ready to sand this off and part it off. Okay, I'm going to reverse this and to get to the bottom and jam it in a jam chuck I've got to make. But first, I'm going to remove some of this excess off the bottom. Go ahead and take this off, put it on a jam chuck, make a jam chuck. Take this off, set it aside. Take a 2x4 scrap. I already had with a tenon on it because I've used it once before. And then we're going to use some dividers to measure the bottom, see how big that opening is going to be, and up that end. That's just about got it. And it goes in. It feels pretty snug. I want to go in just a little bit deeper, so I've got to face this off again. So let's just squeeze this down a bit. And I think that'll be good. We'll bring up the cone center to actually center it. And that's one of the advantages of leaving the waste scrap on here. I've still got that divot that will center this. Can't very easily break being forced in like that. Okay, now if we didn't think that was strong enough, we can always reinforce it with a few pieces with a little bit of tape, like this. Wider tape would be better. Rotate the body, turn and advance. Before we completely lose support, I'm going to go ahead and sand it. I've got a little bit of a rough edge there at the bottom. Actually, I'm going to just take a skew as a negative rate scraper and just kind of very lightly see if I can get rid of some of the ridges real close to it. Makes it easier to sand. So I'm going to use my detail gouge because it's got a very small amount of steel I can put on the task. And test and sand. That looks good. We'll go ahead and sand. Now we'll just add just a couple of little V-grooves by using a point tool. We'll take the tape off, remove the box. Only thing we got left to do is the lid. Normally you do the lid first. That's for an overfitting box. In this case, this is an inset box. And we're just going to get in there with our fingers, see if we can't pop it loose, which we easily did. Okay, time to turn the top. I guess it was bad luck that I made the opening for this exactly 2 inches, so all my exotic blocks of wood that are 2 inches don't leave me enough margin for errors. But I did find this piece of dried walnut, so off we go. We'll just rough this out between the centers. Now, my recommendation, when you deal with small blocks of wood around 2 inches, it's not a bad idea. Don't get it completely round before you put a tenon on it, because sometimes it's too small to make a tenon, but you can still chuck it just fine if it's got some square edges on it. That's okay. Put the flat areas in the gaps here. So, let me use my 3/8 inch spindle gouge and just true it up, make it slightly concave. Measured the inside, so once it becomes round, it'll be a close fit. Okay. Almost. Just the tiniest little bit. Almost there. I think I'll leave room for sanding, and I'm gonna be good. We're gonna sand the bottom, then we're gonna decorate the bottom. I'm gonna use the Sorby micro spiraling system. And that'll do it. And I'm gonna come in just a little bit off of center and come out just a short ways. We're going to turn the speed down to no more than about 450. Well, I didn't like the looks of that. I didn't get it really turning, so let's clear that off and do it again. Sometimes that happens. No problem. Easy enough to fix. This time I'm going to turn this a little steeper to get it rotating a little more easily. And let me put a drop of machine oil on it, although I don't think it needs it. And then we just slowly bring it out. And we've got a little bit of a spiral. And now we're going to use the point tool to frame it. So we're going to get our speed up a little bit. Frame it there. Frame it there. Little bead, drop the handle, roll it over. Drop the handle, roll it over. And basically we're done. I'm going to put a little abrasive paste on there. Make it look a little glossier. Probably should have done this first. But we'll get the area in the center and the area around the spiraling. probably easiest to go ahead and decorate, finish this with some friction polish. Well, I've got it in this orientation, so doesn't matter what I do the rest of the box. Let's just go ahead and deal with the bottom. This is fast and easy. Lightly hit where the texturing is so I don't shred the paper. And there we go. Okay. That's a nice fit. I'm going to take just a little bit off of it so it won't be a pop fit. Come back from the inside. Come back just the tiniest little bit. Make them cool, whatever level. Let the fit cuts. Okay. Now we'll finish shaping the finial on this. I'm going to use a spindle gouge. And we're going to come in. Just wasting air here. Slightly concave, or convex rather. The feature I'm going to put in there is a bead, so I'm going to come in there with this detail gouge just to make it a little easier. And then from this side, the bead. In there with a small round skew to make this V-cut. Get this sphere or round knob. Put this in. Put it right there. Let's get it. This. Repeat. This side. Okay, now this needs to be, give myself a little more room here, so let's just take this down. Let's take a look at the proportions of that bead. Yeah, I think that's good. I like that. Now we're going to use a little abrasive paste. Rub that on. Rub it on the side, rub it on here, rub it on the bead. All the nooks and crannies. And now let's polish it up a little bit. Okay, Now we're going to saw it off, flush cut saw, 45-degree angle, right there. And there we go. We can stroke that a little bit on the lathe bed. Just make sure we got, you know, like this. That's 360. Now let's use the 500. And I probably should have used some friction polish on this, but man. And there we have our little box.